beat. Whoa, 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 cha-cha on the ballroom beat. You got two left feet, get on the ballroom beat. They're dancing in the street, they're on the ballroom beat. We can tango, we can swing, we can do anything. Walk in through the door and waltz on the floor. You wanna feel the heat, get on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Foxtrot on the ballroom beat. Salsa on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat.
Welcome to On the Ballroom Beat. My name's Lonnie Berger, and I am here with Jimmy Mulligan, a U.S. West Coast Swing champion, a hustle champion, smooth champion and rising star at Superama, correct?
That's correct.
I mean, my goodness, just dancer extraordinaire. Welcome to the show, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Now, you're here coaching in Palm Harbor today, which we are so excited about. You've already done a couple sessions this morning. How'd they go?
Absolutely wonderful. You know, every time I get to, it's always a little bit of anxiety when you walk into a brand new school for the first time. You never know what you're going to, who you're going to meet, what you're going to work on, the levels, and getting to know the staff and the students. But just like any other great Arthur Murray studio, you walk in, you feel at home. Within seconds, you're working, and it was great. So wonderful day.
Full step, triple step. Now we get into our first main rhythm. The starter step is simply that today, just to get us started, okay? And then our main rhythm for West Coast Swing is 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Do it.
Is that you are a competitive dancer. Your partner is Danny Atkins, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
You two are so much fun to watch. We saw you in Washington, D.C. this past December, by the way. I was cheering for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But tell me a little bit, you guys started dancing together in 2013?
That is correct.
Correct?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your partnership and some of the things that you two have done together.
Well, in 2013, right around that time, we were both kind of looking for partners. So a mutual friend of ours set us up, and we did some a little bit of long distance like tryouts and dancing together. And the first event that we ever did, we were invited to kind of judge and perform at a local Dancing with the Celebrities event in Bloomington, Indiana. So I said, well, what better way to figure out if we work well together?
Yeah.
So we choreographed a couple numbers, and then we went and performed for the first time together. And that was, I would say, March or April of 2013. And she had been a receptionist at an Arthur Murray in Connecticut, and had been a student for a long time, student dancer for a long time prior to that. And she really just wanted a lot more out of her career, so she thought Chicago would be a great place, and that's where I was. And so since then, we've competed a lot in Arthur Murray. We're 6 or 7 time Superama and World Dancerama finalists in the Open Division. In 2013, at our first Superama together, we won Rising Star.
That's awesome.
Yep. And in addition to that, we've won a lot of West Coast Swing and Hustle one dance competitions along the way. And even outside of that, we've even dabbled a little bit in the West Coast Swing and Hustle communities, just continuing to work on our own craft and our own West Coast Swing and Hustle as well.
And that's actually where your background lies, am I correct? In West
correct.
Coast Swing primarily. Can you tell us a little bit about your swing background?
Yeah, it wasn't swing in the very beginning. It was line dancing and country, but one of the country dances is West Coast Swing, and that's the one that I gravitated to right away. And I was a student and attending classes, and then I had a job opportunity in Chicago. So when I moved there, they had a West Coast Swing and Hustle organization. I became a member really quick, and I just fell in love with West Coast Swing. So throughout the next 12 to 15 years, I was traveling the West Coast Swing circuit pretty heavily.
Very cool.
In 1997, I won the National Rising Star Championship. So that's the amateur West Coast Swing Championship. And then competed in my first open professional. And 2001, I moved to Atlanta to attend the Atlanta Ballroom Dance Academy. While still competing West Coast Swing, I won at the U.S. Open as a professional open at the U.S. Open in West Coast Swing. So I attribute it to my ballroom. I was always a good West Coast Swing dancer, but I never became a great West Coast Swing dancer until after I started studying ballroom and learning about my body and American Smooth and how that works. It just gave me more control and things like that. So, and then kind of backed it up at 2000, I think it was 2 at the United States Grand Nationals with a win there. And just West Coast Swing, I just loved it. It's just what I love to do.
A long list of accomplishments. That's incredible. Let me ask you this about West Coast Swing, and my background was actually East Coast Swing and Jitterbug when I came in. But West Coast Swing has an entire network out there, and I know that a lot of the times when you compete, it's Jack and Jill style. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so when you were competing West Coast Swing, did you ever have a regular partner, or was it always Jack and Jill style?
I did, and I did have a regular partner, and we competed primarily in Showcase. I guess the biggest divisions in West Coast Swing are Showcase and Classic. You pick your own music. It's solo format. You go out there. You've been working on a routine. In Showcase, they're allowed lifts, drops, aerials, tricks, things like that. And in Classic, it's a little bit more classic. West Coast Swing, kind of supposed to keep your feet on the ground, that sort of thing. Keep your feet on the ground, stay connected. But I did more of the Showcases where I had my most success. I did have a partner. We've competed, and I placed top 5 at the U.S. Open multiple times in the Showcase division. My big wins were always in the Strictly Swings or the Jack and Jills, but the impromptu idea of West Coast Swing is what West Coast Swing is all about. And as a West Coast Swing competitor, that's how you move up through the ranks. So you start as a novice, and through Jack and Jills and Strictly Swings, you earn points. Then you go to a newcomer, novice, intermediate, advanced. Now I think they have All-Star, and then from there it's open or professional, whatever they call it, from event to event. So that's how you actually work your way up through the ranks, is winning Jack and Jills and Strictly Swings.
Can you even guess how many partners you've had in West Coast Swing? You probably can't even guess at that number.
For Strictly Swings and West Coast Swings, every weekend's a different one. I mean, you know, it's a community, and you know everybody, and you've probably, you know, in some ways you might have been just up socially dancing with them till 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you draw them the next day in the competition. You never really know. A lot of times with Strictly Swings, you pick your partner, but it's not your regular Classic or Showcase routine partner. You pick that out ahead of the weekend, but a lot of times it's a call or a text, hey, are you going to this event? You want to do Strictly? They say yes, you get there, and you try not to even practice too much, because again, you win it through improvisation and being musical.
And I was going to say, having a plethora of partners as you've had, do you think that made you a stronger leader?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you learn that everybody feels a little bit different. They've got some uniquenesses. I think that the guys initiate a direction or a movement, but then they just have to go with whatever happens. So it makes us a better leader, but it also teaches us not to micromanage it either, and let the girls be amazing. And I say this in all of my wins, every time I had an amazing girl that I was dancing with, and I just try not to mess her up too much.
But you know, I think it's so important, especially Arthur Murray students who attend a lot of groups, who attend a lot of parties, and end up switching partners and adapting to those partners. Eventually are some of the very best leaders and followers I think we turn out. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think the more people that you can dance with, the lead, follow, and then the adapt part is so huge. And I think even for the man, he has to adapt more, because to the lady style, you just can't make everybody try to adapt to him. It's just... I absolutely think that's the mark of a great dancer. Somebody who can grab anybody to any song, anywhere, anytime, and make them look great, you know, and because in return that they look pretty good too. So,
very true, very true. So let's go back for a moment to you and Danny, who are still competing together now.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your practice schedule is like with Danny?
Well, as a new pretty much full-time traveling consultant for Arthur Murray, I'm on the road a lot. Luckily enough, we both, like I'll leave here and I'll meet her in Detroit where we have a show. So we'll rehearse Saturday night, we'll rehearse Sunday morning and things like that. And we just try to make the most out of the time that we have at home. In the first few years that we were both home a lot more, So every day was about a 2-hour practice, give or take, either before or after work. And then in addition to that, we're working on, whatever our weakness is and trying to figure out, connecting with each other, what we want out of our choreography. And then, of course, if we practice in the morning, then we would probably, not necessarily together, but work out in the evening. So just trying to stay healthy and trying to stay physically fit. So, being winded is not an issue, and getting more out of our rehearsals and our competitions as well.
I love asking competitive professionals this. How often do you work on the basics?
Oh, wow. I work on the basics more than anything else. All day long, all the time. I take lessons. I take a lot of lessons still, even without Danny. I do a lot of work with standard coaches, and I just want to learn to move better. And, so we're always working on the fundamentals and keeping, your hips level or your frame, just the really fundamental basics, how to move your weight from foot to foot.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think every great dancer continues to work on and tries to improve on. Better you move, the better everything works. So yeah, the basics all the time. Every once in a while you have to break away and do something fun. So let's be creative with our choreography. Not that I think working on basics is fun. I'm fine with that. But for some people, and I know we try to mix it up with our choreography and finding new ways to be creative, but being creative without the technical support of it doesn't always work. You can't get what you want to out of it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you talk about how you still have coaching sessions yourself.
All the time.
I mean, here you are, one of the most sought after coaches in the Arthur Murray organization. You go and you judge, you win, you're a champion, and yet you're still working with teachers.
Absolutely.
And I think that's such an incredible thing. Sometimes I think students ask, why should I work with a coach? My teacher's great. Of course your teacher's great, but a coach is going to see something brand new, something different. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just that we all talk about the same things, but we have a different way of saying it that just relates to a person differently, and they can see, and the greatest dancers in the world have already maybe gone through that same struggle that you're dealing with, and they can help you shortcut the process and how to fix certain little things better.
3, great. 2, 3. Now on that turn there, I think you're losing your side a smidge early. That was great. So as you came out, 4 and 1. Keep your right side forward, take the foot, cha-cha. Because what's happening is as the foot's going, you're already turning. So now see, I'm turning to the right, but my left side's forward.
There's a franchisee who's in the Midwest area. His name's Tony Koberg, and Tony's huge on having consultants in his school, and he brings them in a lot. And he talks about, the industry, in any industry, whether it's race car driving or tennis, you take the most elite athletes, and people don't have access to them. But in our business, it's different. It is a social thing. People have access to, elite and great dancers. So we have the opportunity to go and take lessons from them. And so, in his opinion, he says, why not? They're the best at what we do. It's not because we can make things difficult. It's actually because we can help try to make things easier.
Exactly.
And we've already gone through it. We've struggled through it ourselves. We'll shortcut you.
Yeah, and I think too with the vast amount of people that you've worked with, like you were saying, you start to see consistent problems. You probably have some pretty quick ways of fixing things because of your experience.
Yeah, I like to think I do, and and I realize too that everything I say that it's not going to necessarily relate to everybody,
Right.
but just having me this week or another coach next week, we're going to see some of the same things, and hopefully one of us will have a way of fixing it, and that's why. And a lot of times, we just come at the same thing from different directions.
Right.
But it's all in how to become more efficient in your dancing, how to get something accomplished without using, again, so much energy. Just being efficient, I think, is key. And sometimes you just have things that are keeping you from being able to do that.
Yep.
And having coaches and having a third eye. And like I said, Danny and I certainly take lessons together. Our travel schedules are different. If she's out of town and I'm at home and somebody amazing's in town, I'm the first one. I want time. I will go by myself. Just work on how to move, how to stand.
Yeah.
I've had lessons on just standing. So.
Ever need a doctor after hours? Well, searching won't help. But what do? You could go to the urgent care or ER, but if only there was a better way. Introducing the MNO Plus card. No waiting rooms, no copay, no consultation fee, giving you 24/7 access to a doctor by phone or online. It's easy to get started with affordable plans starting at $15 a month for a family of 5. For more information, visit mnoplus.com today.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just 1 or 2 options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex. Short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
Let me ask you this too. I think sometimes students also feel like coaching is for the advanced students, for the competitive students, but you work with brand new students all the time.
Absolutely.
And how does coaching benefit a new student?
Well, again, now we can see the long-term process. So it helps us get in and lay a better, more clear foundation earlier. Focus on these things so that later on, the more advanced concepts become easier. So I always say if getting the right foundation and working on the right things now will save you so much time and money later. So invest in your dancing in an earlier level, and that will save you time and money at the more advanced stages, because it's all about, a lot of it's about the same stuff.
Right.
It really is. But if we skip too fast over some of the things that really make a difference, and I warn everybody, I think it's okay to obsess about your dancing if we obsess about the right thing. You can't obsess about everything. Right. So in the beginning, I think we make the same mistakes in the beginning as we do later in our dancing. We just don't make them as often. So if we can get that foundation to make everything fit and try to keep our technique above our patterns and things like that, it really does, it can chop off years.
Yeah, very neat.
Yeah.
Well, what sorts of things are you going to be working on today in Palm Harbor?
Well, a lot of times when I go to the studio for the first time, because of my West Coast swing, my hustle background, I'll do a lot of West Coast swing and just kind of structuring it a little bit, and understanding that it's not necessarily a rhythm dance, it's not necessarily a smooth dance, it incorporates aspects of both, so just understanding when to use what. So I'm really excited for some of the group sessions that we have today. And then a lot of the smooth stuff is really all about, as basic as it sounds, as fundamental as it sounds, is posture and poise.
Yes.
Making sure that, posture is important no matter what dance you do. It's important to have good posture. Poise, just about what you do with it, in my vertical or in my forward. So those are the things that I like to watch out for. Because sometimes if we're in a smooth dance and our posture's forward, we get stuck. And then same way, the exact opposite in rhythm. If I'm too vertical, it makes it hard to take my toe lead. So things like that. So a lot of times I think my way of teaching, I think posture is the most important thing. I think poise is the second most important thing. And then we get into footwork. Because if the poise is wrong, it's going to make taking a heel lead or a toe lead really, really hard.
That makes perfect
so that's just kind of some of the things that I watch out for first. A lot of times we talk about turning because everything that we do turns. So just preparing the body a little bit better to turn through certain figures that require a lot of rotation. Just preparing our bodies to accomplish the thing. So instead of just doing something, it's preparing to do that, and I work on the preparation of things just a little bit more.
Let me go back to your competitive dancing for one more moment. How many years have you been a competitive dancer? West Coast, ballroom, everything. I mean, it's a long time.
Well, I did my very first competition in 1994.
Okay.
It was the Golden Boot Swing competition. I had my little East Coast swing at the country place that we were at, and we won the novice division. No idea what that gave me. It gave me a pass to the Michigan Swing Dance Championships, where I walked and I had no idea that dancing could look and do what it did. And even though I was doing East Coast swing, I was starting to learn West Coast swing and falling in love with it. So my first competition as an amateur was then, and then I quickly got a teacher, started working on it, did Pro-Am for a few years, and then I was an amateur even in West Coast swing. So I'd say my first competition was in 1994, so that's 22 years ago.
I think that sometimes when people are on the competitive track, of course it's a roller coaster. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. And sometimes they allow the down to pull them out of it. They feel defeated. They feel like, what am I wasting my time with this for? But those of us who have been in the industry a long time know that this is part of the journey, this is part of the process. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's easy to walk in here and give a list of, you know, all the things that I've won. There's not enough time in the day to talk about the ones I didn't. You know, and I mean, just, but I never allowed that to completely knock me out of the game. There was moments where I doubted myself. I think we all have self-doubt and things, because we just want to be good, because we care about this so much. We just want to be good. But you know, you no control over who's showing up and who has a good day and things like that. So it's just you know, with every great champion in any industry, they've failed plenty. What's made them a champion is just getting back up and getting on the horse and doing it again. And it's not a failure. It's only a failure if you don't take accountability. If you take accountability, then you learn something. And then you learn something, and then you apply what you learned, and then that's how we grow. So, you know what? I didn't have a good day. It's nobody's fault. It's mine. It's okay. I can own that. What do I need to do to make it better? We take coaching, we get information, we find, I think it's important to have mentors in the business, and I've been lucky enough to have some great mentors, you know, that have inspired me to be better, and that I could ask questions, and some days be frustrated with myself and they would let me and then talk me out of it or whatever. So, you know, but I've always been lucky enough. I've had a great group of people, and I think that's one of the things in the dance industry that you don't have to look very far for good people. They're everywhere.
Especially in the Arthur Murray organization.
Especially in the Arthur Murray organization.
Talk about creme de la creme.
Absolutely.
We are so fortunate. How'd you get involved with Arthur Murray's?
So I'm from Chicago, living in Chicago. I did a couple charity events, and I met Jill DeMarlo and Quentin, and Jill will deny this, but I'm putting it on the record. The first year I went, I met, she handed me her business card and said, if I ever need anything, let her know. I said, okay, thanks. And then a year later, I didn't compete in it. I was actually an MC because I won it the year before in it, but I couldn't compete. And so we were chatting again, and she handed me her card and said the same thing. So I had 2 business cards. She denies it. But for some reason, there was something that she saw in me that she thought I would be a good fit. And lucky for me, one day I was driving by and I said, I like them. I should probably give them a call. And I did, and Came in and I met Charlene Chang, and within seconds I had no idea what I was signing up for. But I was out on the floor dancing with other staff, and it was a whirlwind for the first year or so, because I think you've got to be here for a year. You got to experience it all before you can even really begin to participate.
Right.
I guess. So you have to go to events to learn how to go to events. And, so I was learning all of that and learning so much about Arthur Murray. But within minutes, inside the door, I had people like Charlene and Jill asking me, what do I want to do with my career? What do I want to do with my dancing? And as soon as I gave them the answer, they held me accountable, and they said, this is what you said you want to do. So I was lucky enough to have a support system, and then of course, Quentin. My first partner in Arthur Murray was Amy Novotny. We competed together for a long time, and then now with Danny.
Is this the track you wanted straight away when you came in? You knew that this is the track you wanted.
Well, it felt like within days they're like, "What do you want to do in this business?" I'm like, "What are my options?" And you can be a counselor, supervisor, franchisee, traveling consultant. I mean, dance director. The list goes on. And the only person I could kind of look up to that I would mimic was Quentin, and I knew he was a supervisor and traveling consultant a little bit, and going into that route, and I thought that looked cool. So I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. And I said, what do I have to learn to do that? And she's like, if you want to be a great traveling consultant, you have to learn it all.
Yeah.
And so I spent plenty of times in training, in leadership programs and things like that, learning front department, back department, and how to just communicate. Really, it doesn't matter. You're just learning how to communicate and being a good instructor and getting the most out of my students, and then trying to inspire other staff as well. Right. So I wouldn't say, I think if you decide you want to be a franchisee, or if you decide you want to be a traveling consultant, you don't get to skip any of them. You have to have all of them. But we have a lot of all of those in Chicago. Oh, yeah. And so it's easy to learn from if you just keep your eyes open and see what the successful people are doing. And I love, I think, for my lifestyle and what I want to do moving forward, right now being a traveling consultant is perfect. I couldn't ask for anything more. I'm very excited.
It's awesome. So awesome. Now, I know you were talking about helping your students to reach their full potential. Mm-hmm. Do you have a student story that sticks with you that's has a special place in your heart?
We have stories. There was a student that we had in Chicago. She was probably about 60 pounds or so overweight, diabetic, just not in good health. Came in, took a lesson, then took another lesson, and then one thing led to the next. Fast forward a year or so, she's in there just about every group class. She's taking lessons. She's going to dance around. She's doing all those amazing things. Television stations like WGN in Chicago and I think NBC have done stories on her. She now is in quite good health. She doesn't take a single medication for her diabetes, and she really says that if it wasn't for Arthur Murray and dancing, she probably wouldn't be with us because she wasn't healthy. Right. Now she's healthy. I had a student come in one time and she was wearing jeans, and I said, look at you and your cute little butt and your cute little jeans. I said, I don't think I've ever seen you wear jeans before. She goes, you haven't. She's like, I haven't put on a pair of jeans in 40 years.
Oh my gosh.
So those stories, and she's never felt comfortable in jeans, but it was different, and she felt amazing. So there are plenty of stories like that. We've had the adult children of people who take lessons there come in during the day when they knew that their parents wouldn't be there, and just thank us for what we've done for their parents. They said our parents are closer than they've ever remember seeing them, and feel like, if it didn't save their marriage, it certainly made it a lot better. They may have just stuck it out for the sake of whatever, but they're like, forcing them to come in and hold hands and do something together. And then they said they're so much more kind with one another in the way that they interact now because of the dancing that Arthur Murray's done. So the stories are endless. I mean, we could honestly do this all day long. So
true.
Absolutely.
It's true. Thank you for sharing those, because I do love what we do, and it's so much more than just dancing. It's amazing.
So much more,
It's amazing. Let's end with one more question for you. I'll tell you, once when I was competing, I was dancing a mambo. My heel went down the back of Joe Howard's shoe, and I got stuck to Joe Howard for a moment.
There's worse people to get stuck.
I know, right? Yeah, I should have just followed. No, but do you give us one of your best, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened to me on the competitive floor stories?
So yeah, I do. It was the same competition. It was Super Ram. It was my very first one, and it's Amy and I, and we're dancing. It was either salsa or hustle one dance. Within seconds of the salsa, her heel got caught in my pants, and down to the ground she goes. And I went down right with her, and we're laying on the floor, and I'm like, I should probably get back up now, and got back up and just tried to do the rest of our salsa, I think it was. But then later that competition, once we got into smooth, it's probably a semifinal or final, and it was just one of those days. We had a great day all in all, but you know, I see my friend who I knew, Nick Harrington, he's right there, and I needed to move. So I tried to stop because I didn't want to hit him,
right.
And I think he tried to stop as well, and then we all just kind of fell. So
Same competition?
Same competition.
Oh my goodness.
That was later that day.
Oh my
later
goodness.
That day. I'm like, it was. We're like, wow. I'm like, I just want to get through a It was my very first Super Rama too. It was in
my
New
gosh.
Orleans, I think probably 2008. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen,
So-
thank you for being in Palm Harbor. Thank you for being on the Ballroom Beat. It's such a pleasure to get to know you.
Thank you for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulligan, one of our traveling consultants and coaches and champions of Arthur Martel.
Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. You got two left feet. Get on the ballroom beat. They're dancing in the street. They're on the ballroom beat. We can tango, we can swing, we can do anything. Walking through the door and waltz on the floor. You wanna feel the heat? Get on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Foxtrot on the ballroom beat. Salsa on the ballroom beat.